So you're thinking of moving to Denver, Colorado? Well, let me tell you about the 7 worst things about living in Denver, Colorado, and we're gonna get to it right now. What's up everybody, this is Angel and I'm a real estate agent over here in Denver, Colorado, and the first thing you gotta deal with when you're moving to Denver, Colorado, the worst thing about Denver is gonna be the car theft. But for that, we're gonna go into the road and I'm gonna show you exactly what my experience has been.
I just made a video a few days ago where I was talking about the crime, and in Denver, Colorado, we actually have the 3rd highest crime when it comes to car theft, and I was actually a victim of it, and I want to show you what happened to me so that it will not happen to you. Let's see. Well, first, I broke into the window, and they somehow got this out of the wheel, and I can no longer put the key into the ignition. It's all a big mess. And not only that, but they made a mess of my car. The way you can avoid this is you gotta have an alarm in your car. You gotta have good insurance. Thankfully, I had insurance, so I only had to pay the deductible. It's gonna be about 500 bucks. If you can't have a dash cam, that would be ideal, especially if you can set it up to send you notifications if something's going on in your car. And the statistics say most of the times it's gonna be a Kia or a Hyundai. So if you have one of those cars and you're moving to Denver, Colorado, it's probably a good idea to sell it and buy a car here. I wish I had done that. This is a temporary fix that we had to do so that before the insurance comes and takes the car to the place where it's gonna be fixed, we just don't want water or anything else to come into the car. So this is one quick way to protect it, but of course it's not a long-term solution.
I just want to take a second to say I'm a real estate agent, and if you're thinking of moving to Denver, Colorado, you gotta reach out for a private one-on-one conversation where we're gonna go over what you like and especially what you don't like so that we can narrow down your search and find you the perfect place. All of the information's in the description below. Now back to the video. Now the second thing you gotta deal with when you're living in Denver, Colorado, it's gonna be the homeless population. Especially if you wanna live by the central business district or Capitol Hill. That's typically where the homeless people congregate. That's where they're living, honestly. And there are a few homeless encampments here and there. They're starting to pop up. I would say it's not as bad as what you hear other places like California that they have the homeless population issue, but it is a problem and it is increasing, and sometimes it's even going into some of the closer cities of the suburbs. Now, it hasn't gotten that bad yet, but of course, we're going in that direction. Now, the next thing you gotta deal with when you're living in Denver, Colorado, of course, it's gonna be marijuana and mushrooms. Colorado was the first state that legalized marijuana for recreational use. And of course, at that time, a ton of people flocked into Denver specifically to partake in this, and Denver just kept growing from there. It's grown exponentially in the last 10 years. But the thing is marijuana a good thing or not? Well, either way, whatever your position is, you have to deal with it when you're living here. So for example, for a lot of people, they're gonna use marijuana to probably go to bed and sleep and just not really use it anywhere outside of their homes. But then you have another set of people who just don't care. You're going to be public transportation, you're going to be at a concert, specifically at Red Rocks. You're going to smell marijuana at Red Rocks if you go there. There was a concert just a few months ago. I think it was like the nephew of Bob Marley. And I mean, I didn't go, but I can tell you if you were to go there, there was just no way you wouldn't have smelled it. So there is this spectrum of people. Like, some people use it, some people don't. But I would say for most people, it's kind of like a way of living now, whereas it's kind of like drinking. Like, you can see some people at the bar getting drunk, and as long as you don't mess with them, they're not gonna mess with you. And it kind of works that way, in my opinion. I haven't seen any physical encounter of any type with the people. I do think it's very disrespectful in open spaces, in public spaces, but the reality is they're gonna keep doing it. It's just kind of what it is. But I would say it is bringing a ton of tax revenue into the city and the county. So there's just, when you're buying marijuana, there is a ton of taxes that are attached to it. And I do prefer consumption taxes as opposed to income taxes, but that's a topic for a different video. But yes, there's a lot of projects that are being funded with marijuana tax dollars that wouldn't have been funded otherwise. So of course, like I said, there is a pros and cons to every single item. This one is just, it could be both at the same time. Now, the fourth thing you gotta deal with when you're living here, it's gonna be the altitude and the weather. And of course, the altitude, we're a mile-high city, we're very high, of course, elevation-wise.
And right here is the 1 mile marker. So that means that we're exactly 1 mile of elevation. It's gonna be right over there.
In terms of the altitude, when I just moved here, I remember even just doing fast-paced walks, it would just get me out of breath. It was like the weirdest thing. But now that I'm training here, I'm going to the gym, I'm going for runs. When I go to lower elevation areas, I just feel like I can run forever. It's just a different experience. Once you work out here, you're gonna be so much better when you go to lower elevation areas. But that does not take away the fact that it is so tough to get used to it. And the thing with the altitude is that it's gonna impact your regular day-to-day life, even if you're not training. So like if you're carrying a baby, you're gonna get tired easier. If you're going upstairs, you're gonna get tired easier. It's just all of these little adjustments that if you're more, let's say, passive person, you're probably not gonna like it. You're gonna have to deal with this if you're living in Denver, Colorado. Now, when it relates to the weather here, I know everybody says the weather in their city, it's crazy and whatever, but I'm gonna tell you, over here, we actually had a 60-degree swing within a 24-hour period. We went from about 10 degrees to 60 degrees within a 24-hour period. And I'm gonna tell you, it is just a very weird thing to experience. A lot of the times in the morning weather, it's going to be cold, then it's going to be super hot in the afternoon, and then it's going to snow at night. So sometimes, especially during the winter months, you always have to have a jacket on because you don't know when you're going to be snowed. I went camping with my buddy. It was the end of April and we were going to go hiking the next day. And yes, we got snow late April, like probably a foot of snow, and we just couldn't go hiking the next day. It was just too much snow at that time. And of course, that's in addition to what was already on the ground when you're high up there in the mountains. So in my opinion, when it comes to snow, we have about 2 bad days a week during the winter. So November, December through March, we're gonna have about 2 or 3 days of snow every week on average. And the other days it's going to be sunny and nice. But I'm going to tell you, if you're somebody who just cannot just have any snow, don't move here because you're going to hate it. We're going to have snow every single year. This last year, it's the year with the most snow recorded, I think, in all of history, or recorded history, however they're keeping track of it. And I think there was like 1 week where we just didn't leave the house. The snow started melting, then it froze again. Now it was frozen, it snowed on top of it, and it took about a week to clear the roads. It was super dangerous to drive. So if you just don't like the snow at all, just don't move here because you're probably not gonna like it. Now, the next thing you gotta deal with when you're moving here, it's gonna be the cost of living. The cost of living over here in Denver, Colorado, in my opinion, is super high. It's gonna depend where you're coming from, of course. I've read conflicting reports. Some of them say it's about 12% higher than the national average. Others say 25%. I don't really know because, of course, I'm not taking a look at the national average. Nobody does that. What I did create a separate video where I go in depth about all of the expenses that you're gonna have when you're living in Denver, Colorado. I went to the grocery store. I'm showing you how much everything costs. Bread, eggs, meat, everything. That way you can plan and you can make your budget before you move out here to Denver, Colorado. But in general, yes, it's gonna be expensive. It's not uncommon, like especially if you're gonna be living in downtown Denver, you can be paying $2,000, $2,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. Of course, housing cost, it's going to be different if you buy a condo or a townhomes or a single family home. That's why you guys need to reach out because I know where the pockets are where you can get good deals where you're gonna be living in good areas at reasonable prices. But anyways, the high cost of living here, if you're moving from a small town, like let's say Wichita, Kansas, like you're really gonna feel the impact. Coffeeville, Kansas, I have a buddy up there, that's why I mention it. And I know for those towns, the cost of living is really cheap. Some person on a Facebook group was saying they were paying $800 a month for rent on a 3-bedroom house in Missouri. And coming from that, I mean, over here, of course, it's gonna depend the area, but you could even pay $4,000 for a 3-bedroom home here. It's just crazy, I would say. So really take a look at that video, because here you really need to have your ducks in a row so that you don't have bad experiences when you come out here. The other thing you got to deal with when you're moving here is that a lot of the things here, a lot of the businesses are going to be closing early. It's not uncommon that they're going to be closing at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And sometimes you just need to do that nighttime errand at 10:30. You gotta go get medicine or something and everything's closed. At least where I was living before, it seems like every store was open 24 hours. That's not the case here. It's not a city. Like if you're driving like 11 p.m., a lot of the lights are gonna be turned off, and it's just not like a city that's living. Now, downtown Denver is a different story, of course. You're gonna have everything open downtown Denver at night. Not everything, of course, but you know, you're gonna have your nightlife. You're gonna have grocery stores and the Walgreens and pharmacies. Those types of businesses are open in downtown Denver at night. But even if you just drive 5 miles away, it's going to be tougher to find those spots. Even fast food restaurants. So I live in downtown Lakewood, and we were just going to be door dashing some ice cream from Sonic yesterday. And what happened is we have a Sonic maybe like half a mile away. We get the DoorDash order in, and the driver was actually coming from Sloan's Lake. So it was like probably a 5 or 6 mile drive. Whereas, you know, it was probably like 10:30 p.m. or maybe 10 p.m. when I got the order. And that just tells you, like, if I was gonna go drive, I would have driven to the place just to realize it was closed, and then I would have to drive another 6 miles and then come back. And it just creates all of these inconveniences that happen because, of course, most of the living here is gonna happen during the daytime, not at nighttime. Now, the second thing you gotta deal with when you're living in Denver, Colorado, is that there is not much diversity here. And it is not something that I really care about, but I know some people do. It's very important for them to have their community and whatever. But Denver is just not as diverse. Like, I wanted to find some good tacos. I was on a search for finding the best tacos in Denver, and it was really tough. The places that I found that I really liked, they were super expensive. I would go with my wife and we would spend $50, and at that, like, for both. And at that point, it's like, you know, we could have gone to another place that would be probably a little bit better. And in that regard, it's like, come on, we need some more diversity. I know some other people, they like to try foods from multiple cultures, and we don't really have a lot of that here, at least in my opinion. So if you're looking for some diversity, you're probably not gonna get it when living in Denver, Colorado. And as a bonus, there is a ton of traffic in Denver, Colorado. You're gonna have to deal with it. So Denver, again, because of all of the population that has been moving here, it just has grown exponentially. The roads, the infrastructure hasn't been keeping up with the amount of people that live here now. And sometimes those morning commute or afternoon commutes back to home, those could be soul taking. That's what I call it, because every single day wasting an hour and a half going to the office, coming back from the office. And this is so weird because literally there is a ton of places where it's faster to go on a bike than going on a car. And it's just because of the way the infrastructure is, especially at peak hours. And just to give you an example, when I was living in Dallas, if I was to commute 13 miles, it would take me about 13 to 15 minutes. But over here, commuting 13 miles, it's going to take me at least 45 minutes. And on bad days, it's taking an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's just a little bit of a reference. Of course, this is going to depend where you're moving from, because, It might be even worse where you're moving from, and here it's even better. And it also depends where you're living in relation to where you're going to be working. And that's why you guys got to reach out, because we're going to find you a place that you're going to love, and you're going to love living in Denver, Colorado. Now, maybe Denver, Colorado is not for you. Maybe you want to be even closer to the mountains. Maybe you want acreage. Our job with this channel is giving you an honest opinion of what's like living in Denver, Colorado and the surrounding areas. So right now, hit the subscribe button. We do videos every week. They're the most in-depth videos about living in Lakewood, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and the Denver metro area. And also leave a comment down below what areas you want to see next. Until next time, see you later.